What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're going to talk about Xbox, because the idea of Xbox as it currently exists is definitely doomed. The idea of cheap games, the idea of getting stuff in a cheap subscription model, that's all about to completely collapse. I think it's a pretty safe bet to say this current slate of Xbox games does look good. Stuff like, specifically, I'm extremely excited for another Outer Worlds, and Avowed looks fantastic, but I think after these games are done, Xbox is just going to collapse. And surprisingly, it is because of Xbox Game Pass. I want to explain to you throughout this video why I believe that Xbox Game Pass is actually leading to the death of Xbox as a brand and why it's coming so extremely soon. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So yesterday, late last night, they announced that they are trying to change the way that Xbox Game Pass works. They're raising the cost of it by 25%, so it's way more expensive, and they're trying to make a new tier called Standard, which does not have day one games. Now, a lot of Xbox fans are defending this, saying it's fake outrage, that nobody cares that it's more expensive, which is very strange to say because I think everybody's kind of broke. So I think people who are complaining about the higher price are actually upset about the higher price. People are claiming it's misleading to say that they're removing games when that is literally what's happening. The funniest part about this, though, is that I have seen a lot of Xbox people saying, okay, well, PlayStation Plus is also getting more expensive and nobody's talking about that. Well, this is funny for two reasons. First off, yeah, this sucks as well. I talked about it. I've made multiple videos about the PlayStation Plus price increase because A, PlayStation Plus was already too expensive. Now it's even more expensive. And B, it's funny when people say no one's talking about this, when in fact, this is an article of people talking about this. But I do think it's funny that the difference is the fact that Sony has always said that PlayStation Plus Premium or any tier of PlayStation Plus is in fact optional. You're still going to have to buy your games. They're not, saying day and date. They're not giving you any sort of discount. The idea has always been that you buy the games you want to buy on PlayStation, which is why they actually make money, but more on that in a bit. And then the other part of it is the fact that PlayStation Plus is just for cloud saves. If you want their indies and stuff like that for PlayStation Plus Extra, this has always been an optional service. Whereas when it comes to Game Pass, for Microsoft, they essentially imply that this is mandatory. Do you want these games? Play day one with Game Pass. When what they actually mean now is get Game Pass Ultimate, or you don't get anything. Now, a lot of people are basically pointing out the fact that it is weird that they're calling this Game Pass Standard when it doesn't actually have day one games. I think that they're changing the status quo. I think very soon they're going to start to make it so that you're supposed to think about you buying Xbox games because they definitely need your cash. And then there's this separate, much more expensive tier if you want the Game Pass Ultimate Day 1 games. It's currently $20 here in America. It's going to be $23 in Canada. I think Game Pass Ultimate is going to go up to $30 pretty soon after this. So the weirdest part about this is that the confusion of this. A lot of people, even Xbox journalists like Tom Warren here, are essentially saying, okay, this is confusing. And honestly, I've talked about this in previous videos. I think confusion is the death of any brand. The fact that you start to have multiple tiers, different payment methods, the fact that there's something called Xbox Core, Xbox Console, Xbox Standard, Xbox Live, Xbox Gold, Xbox Game Pass, Ultimate, Console, PC. Okay, my point is the fact that if you're a normie, like you guys, y'all are hardcore gamers. You're sitting here watching a video of me talking about video game price points. We're probably the most hardcore of hardcore demographics. But the thing is that normal people are not going to understand this. If you're standing at a shelf and you're like, okay, Do I want to buy the PlayStation 5 or do I want to buy the Xbox Series X? These are the same cost. Which one to me seems more simple? I'm just some boomer who's trying to get into video games. They're probably going to choose the system that's pretty dang straightforward, where it's a console, it's got controllers, it's got games, the games are on a physical shelf. A lot of Xbox games now are digital only. I think pretty much everybody, and this is reflected in the sales. Right now, the PS5 is completely crushing the Xbox in raw sales numbers. I did a video about that 2 days ago. And beyond that, I think it's just because, honestly, it's easier. But the funny thing is that as soon as you start making charts to explain which features you get, you've lost. This is so ridiculous, the fact that they're... Okay. Beyond even that, though, let's talk about the fact that this price increase, I think, is going to make more people want to switch to either PC gaming, Nintendo Switch gaming, or PlayStation gaming. Like, even if you have been enjoying the Xbox ecosystem, like, they keep increasing the costs for the features you already have. You do not own your Xbox games. You're renting them. You're paying a subscription fee to have access to them. The same way that you don't own the shows you're watching on Paramount Plus, or, I'm super obsessed with House of the Dragon, the new Game of Thrones show. That is not something I own. I can watch it via my HBO subscription, but, I don't really have it. I can't just boot it up whenever I want. It is now the same thing with Xbox games. If you keep subscribing to Game Pass, you are allowed access to them. But at any point, you can just lose it if you don't keep paying for the games you want to continue to play. Like, when Xbox Series X came out, it was £100 to get Xbox Game Pass for an entire year. Now that same library of games is... Oh my God. Now the same library and access to day one stuff is forced into the highest tier at £180 a year. I'd rather just buy my games. I think this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to trick you into actually buying stuff. A lot of people are basically bringing this up. Like, it is weird to think about. I want to look at some tweets here by Paul Tassi, because this is an interesting one. The amount of people that are defending this, the weirdest Xbox defenses I've seen is everybody knew this was going to get more expensive, so it's not a big deal. That to me is weird because, like, aren't you still upset that they're gouging you? You already were playing these games, and now they're charging you more without giving you extra games. Like, there has not been a lot of Xbox exclusives. Like, that's not even like a bag. There's just not a lot of them. I mean, there's not a lot of PlayStation exclusives either. I mean, only Nintendo is truly killing it when it comes to exclusives. But with PlayStation, you buy the ones you want, you skip the ones you don't. Whereas with Xbox Game Pass, the assumed assumption is like, okay, you got to keep paying so you can eventually get access to that good catalog of games. Like, I didn't really like Starfield that much. I gave it a 7 out of 10, but a lot of people subscribed to Game Pass specifically for that. It is weird to think about. You lose access to it, even if you've beaten it and loved it, as soon as you stop paying. I love this analogy. You got to make it all or nothing with day one releases. Add more features or whatever in different tiers, but this is like Netflix restricting newly released original shows unless you pay more. That would be absurd, and yet these people keep defending it. The weirdest thing is the amount of Xbox people that are acting like this isn't a big deal, or even people trying to say that, oh, people are just overreacting. I have seen a lot of people also bring up the fact, I'm trying to scroll down carefully, there is a picture of a bunch of Xbox YouTubers riding some male genitalia. I'm going to crop it here so you don't accidentally see it. But people are pointing out that literally just last year, Xbox said they're not going to increase the price of Game Pass. A price increase would be counterproductive as it increases subscriber churn rates. This is what Microsoft said last year. Last March, they said that they're not going to increase the price because more people would leave than come on. And it's funny that they're just going against that. This is the deal. I think that Game Pass has done irreparable harm to the way players perceive Xbox and Microsoft. And I think this tweet is great. Liam here is 1,000% correct. If you look at the sales of anything on Xbox, they are flatlined. Xbox Game Pass has completely tanked that people buy first-party things or basically third-party things. Everybody says, I'll wait to buy it on Game Pass. If you're an indie developer and you're trying to make something and it's costing you even a low budget, say hundreds of thousands of dollars, you and your friends are making a game for years, okay, you can put it on Nintendo Switch. That'll sell a decent amount. Nintendo Switch, actually, the attach rate, people buy a ton of games on Nintendo Switch. If you could put it on PlayStation, it's already got 60 million PlayStation 5s. That's tons of people that might pick it up. Put it on PC, that's hundreds of millions of people that might pick it up. If you put it on Xbox, there are numbers. There are leaked numbers and official numbers that stuff just does not sell on average on Xbox at all because they keep waiting. Okay, I'm already paying $20 a month for Game Pass. Let me wait for it to come to Game Pass. Here's the big difference. I have tons and tons and tons of actual Nintendo games, right? Okay, I buy first-party Nintendo games. A lot of times I'll even buy them digitally and physically. Like I'm super obsessed with one of my favorite Zeldas of all time growing up was Link's Awakening, so I bought it digitally and physically. Same thing, I have a huge collection. I have hundreds of PS4 and PS5 games. This is like 1/5 of my PlayStation 5 collection. My point here is the fact that, like, I'm not trying to brag, it's that people buy games on those consoles. This is thousands of dollars of profit, of spending, of investment into future games. Like, that's how these studios think of it. Okay, we put a game on PlayStation, they bought it, they pre-ordered it, they got DLC, they kept playing it, they kept engaging with it. Whereas with Game Pass, if anything, I think it's proving to people, hey, don't even worry about it. You don't have to actually buy these games because they'll come to Game Pass, or you don't even have to worry about owning it. This is so bizarre to me because the amount of people that are defending it is so bizarre to me. Everything on day one was a nice rule when they had no games, but it couldn't last forever without a price hike. This is the biggest thing, which is that Xbox is finally ramping up. For years and years and years, they've said, next generation, we're finally catching our stride. It is finally happening. Releasing games like Avowed, releasing things like Starfield's DLC after buying Bethesda and stuff like that. These are incredibly expensive projects. So I understand why they're increasing the price. My point is the fact that this definitely works. Everything on day one was much more functional before they started to invest billions and billions of dollars into the ecosystem. Now they're trying to find a way to turn a profit. In fact, it's even funny. Sarah Bond, the head of Xbox in May 2024, talks about the fact that everything is coming to Game Pass day one. It is so funny to think about the fact that this stuff, like right here, Red Dragon, he's very antagonistic. He's saying this is a straight up lie. It is funny because I guess some kinds of Game Pass have some access to day one games. Everything Microsoft has done since buying Activision clearly seems to be trying to recoup the costs since they've lost so much money, almost as if corporate acquisition is a bad idea. I very much railed against the Activision acquisition. I mean, mostly because I'm a big fan of Blizzard games. I have a big Diablo tattoo and stuff like that. And so I don't like the idea of any of these companies being bought because a lot of times it ends up leading to layoffs, to closures, to, well, a lot of times games not being as good because some corporate overload is trying to maximize their payoff of the debt they accrued by buying it. I heard a quote that I really, really like. People get mad when you're right too soon. I have been speaking out against a lot of these acquisitions. I got tons and tons and tons of videos on this channel talking about the fact that I just don't think a lot of these acquisitions are good. And I think it's the fact that Microsoft has bought so much and not gotten much for it. I think that Microsoft kept thinking that they could just buy their way to the top. They kept thinking, okay, if we acquire enough, if we print enough money, if we write enough checks, we'll eventually take over a big chunk of the ecosystem. Microsoft owns a huge chunk of all the studios in existence. It's weird to think about it, but like Microsoft has bought so much. Xbox Game Studios, Activision Blizzard, all the little tiny stuff like 343 Industries, and every facet of this is tens of thousands of employees worldwide all working to make games. And honestly, a Game Pass subscription, it's not going to break even. It's not going to dig them out of this debt hole that they've actually accrued. A lot of people are pointing out the fact that this is an overly complicated overhaul, and all of this is just going to be bad. I don't think anybody is celebrating this. I don't think anybody is saying this is a good thing, but I think it's bizarre to me the people that are saying this is good for the road ahead. I decided to go to the Xbox subreddit last night, and there were a lot of people saying, okay, this sucks, but I'm optimistic this means that more games are coming. And I must admit, I find this funny, that you're getting robbed and you're saying, okay, I hope that money goes to a good space. Game Pass has killed Xbox. It's killed their profits. It's killed their fan base. It's killed their ownership. It's killed the collecting vibe. It's just killed it. It's not the best deal in gaming. And I don't think we should call it that anymore. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. What do you guys think about this? Is it really a big deal, or do you still love Xbox? I feel like the whole comment section is going to be like, PlayStation Plus is expensive. Yeah, PlayStation Plus sucks. Yeah, but you don't need it. None of these games are on PlayStation Plus. They're just games. Wait, Stray is. And I think Sifu. But you know what? I still bought them. Because PlayStation gamers buy stuff. Try it sometime. All right, thanks for watching. Please like the video and keep dreaming.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.